Come join me on my morning routine as we walk around the garden, have some coffee together, and check out what's blooming in the garden. Earlier this fall, I planted 100 purple rain alliums. These I'm super excited about. I'm on a hunt to find a reliable allium that makes a statement in the garden that will come back year after year. In my climate and soil type, which is southern, hot, and clay, gladiator alliums don't come back for me. I'll plant 20 and maybe 2 will come back. The verdict is still out on these purple rain alliums. I'll update you next year. Alliums are a summer blooming perennial/annual, we'll see. One thing to know about them if you want to add them to your garden is their leaves start looking really, really ugly towards late spring. So the trick with alliums is to plant them behind other things that can cover up their ugly leaves. That way you just get to look at their really cool blooms and you don't have to see the yellow dying leaves. Also, look what we have here. Peony buds. These are all planted from bare roots, so I check these religiously, and it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 blooms are happening this year. Every year that you plant peonies, they add more blooms, and so it's always super fun to see how many blooms they have. This is bloomerang lilac. I have it here in a spot that is protected against the hot afternoon sun. It blooms reliably for me year after year. It doesn't rebloom like I wish it would, but the blooms are so amazing and fragrant that it's absolutely worth it. And this is one of my favorite times of year in the garden because it's all budded up and it's ready to explode. I talked about pulmonaria in my last video, but it's truly peaking right now, and so I had to feature it again. Very easy, reliable shade plant. This is a must-have in the shade garden. I featured snowball viburnum in my last video saying that it was budding up and starting to bloom, and now it's really getting to that almost open bloom stage. The blooms are limey right now, and then they'll open up to a full white. It almost looks like an early blooming hydrangea. This snowball viburnum is planted in part sun. So if you've ever wondered what a full sun shrub looks like when you plant it in part sun, here you go. You can see the outer branches that are closer to the sun have the most blooms on it. The ones that are deeper in the shade don't bloom as much. I am training this tree form to kind of spread over this area and provide some shade. So that's okay because the outer blooms that will reach will have all of the blooms and it'll look beautiful. This is what tulip dreams are made of. I planted 100 tulips. It's an improved perennial mix. I'm not sure that it will actually be perennial, but it looks so amazing that I think I'm going to buy this mix again next year just because it's brought me and the family so much joy. It has been blooming for a few weeks and there's still brand new tulips coming up. And so honestly, a mix like this where you're getting continuous blooms and interest for a longer period of time is absolutely the way to go. Also, this is Fothergilla. It is stunning. The blooms are super cool. They kind of look like a bottle brush. This is a native plant that's an early spring bloomer, and I think just really, really pretty. I planted this from Great Garden Plant, so it was a tiny baby. This is a slower growing plant, so if you can find it in a larger size, I'd say get it in a larger size, but it's just so cool this time of year. This is a weeping redbud. It has something to do with wine, but I can't remember the name. I'll put it down in the caption. It's so pretty this time of year, and then it's really pretty in the spring. It has dark red leaves that just provide a beautiful contrast to all the light green that's happening in the garden. It's a great plant to add if you're looking for a smaller tree because it'll only grow as tall as you stake it, and you could control its width by pruning. Georgia Blue Creeping Speedwell is such a good ground cover. It blooms only once, which is right now. The only thing that I do to it is really cut it back whenever it's kind of encroaching over the rocks, and it just takes over and does its thing, and I think it's absolutely stunning. It tolerates some shade, so if you're looking for a good ground cover that can thrive in those part sun areas, this is a really, really beautiful one that just seems to do its thing without needing anything from you. This is my favorite fern of all time for shady spaces because it's such a gorgeous color. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, light colors in the shade garden just really reflect the light and light up those shady spaces beautifully. I love the contrast this brings. And if you're looking for a good variety, because there are a ton of different Japanese painted ferns, Godzilla is the one that I find grows the quickest, the biggest, and is the most robust. You can see the daffodils are pretty much done. They're past their prime. These are early spring blooming daffodils, but I have some later spring blooming ones and I like to mix those in. So let me show you the ones over there that are still blooming and beautiful while these are pretty much all done. This is a mix of daffodils. Some of them you can see are pretty much spent and I can just pop them up and clean them out. And then others you can see are just starting to bloom. There's all different types of colors. And I'm really loving the mixes these days because it just really extends the bloom time. Instead of having one single variety that's up and done, you get a mix and longer interest for a longer time. In my last video, I showed you Rising Sun Redbud in full bloom. Now you can see the blooms are pretty much almost done, but these amazing leaves are just coming out. It's such a fun contrast, the pink with the yellow this time of year, but truly, these are the all-stars. This variety of redbud is going to leaf out this bright yellow, then it'll kind of change to an orange and red. It's a really cool ombre effect and a superstar in the garden that gives long-term interest even after all of the blooms are done. Underplanted with the spirea, I talk about it in every video because it's just so good. You can see it's almost starting to bud up, and the red in my last video is starting to turn this yellowy color. This is double play candy corn spirea, and it looks like this pretty much all season long. While technically this is in my edible garden and all of this is edible, including the flowers and the leaves, this is what arugula looks like when it goes to flower. And this is a plant that you can plant once, let it go to flower, let it spread its seeds, and you pretty much never have to plant it again. My husband is obsessed with Jacques Pepin, and he showed this in his garden, and so my husband really wanted me to plant this. And so here it is. It looks beautiful. The pollinators love it this time of year, and it just keeps on seeding and growing without any care from me. This is a shrub that's not only beautiful, but it's really delicious. This is what blueberry looks like when it's in full bloom. And yes, blueberries do get this tall. You can prune them to keep it shorter, and then there are varieties like Bountiful Blue and other ones that are more compact if you don't have room for like an almost mini tree. We love blueberries here in our family. The blooms are gorgeous this time of year, and then in the fall, they're also really interesting. The leaves will turn and have a really great fall color. So I love blueberry. I almost wish I had planted a couple in the landscape because it's just a really pretty shrub. If you have blueberries in your garden and you're wondering when to fertilize, I like to fertilize when the buds are starting to swell. That's my sign to fertilize, but it's not too late. I'm sure they would appreciate now. Before flowering gives them that energy to produce that really good fruit and flower set so your family can have a delicious harvest. These are Spanish bluebells. These were beautiful here when this blueberry was much shorter. Now the blueberry is much taller, and every year I tell myself I'm gonna move these Spanish bluebells, and every year I forget, but they're kind of cute here and I kind of love them, so it's okay. Creeping phlox is in full bloom this time of year. It's a really good ground cover, but it does need really good drainage. The quickest way to kill this is to put it in full clay soil. Behind retaining walls are typically a good bit of gravel, and so this phlox is very happy here. So if you want happy phlox, make sure you have good drainage. You can add gravel before you plant, and also make sure it is in full sun because this thing just thrives in that full sun, rocky kind of environment. If you're in a southern climate and you don't have Loropetalum planted, it is a big mistake and you need to fix it. The leaves on Loropetalum are purple year-round. There are some varieties that will kind of fade to a dark green. There are many new varieties that keep that purple year-round. And then you have these awesome spring blooms. If you plant them in a shadier spot, they can get leggy. So it is a little bit leggy here. You can cut them back from time to time, which I probably will later this year after the bloom, and it'll kind of reset the plant. The smallest Loropetalum variety is Purple Pixie. It grows to about 1.5 feet tall and spreads kind of like a ground cover. This one blooms a little bit later, so it's all budded up. If you're looking for a compact shrub that's really interesting, Purple Pixie Loropetalum. This Loropetalum here is in full sun. You can see it's not leggy like the other one kind of got. I think it's because it gets more sun here, but also this is a different variety. You can tell the blooms are a different color, and these leaves are quite a bit greener. I find Loropetalums are pretty easy to hedge into these shapes, and for the most part, I think if they get full sun, they will not be leggy and they just stay evergreen and beautiful all season long. These are the Loropetalums that I went ahead and cut back because they were so leggy I couldn't look at them anymore. They are in the most shade, but you can see they're coming back just fine. This is called rejuvenation pruning, which is basically you cut your thing way back and it'll regrow for you. So don't be afraid to go ahead and give things a good whack if they're leggy or they're just not making you happy or they're way too tall for the space. Your plants will survive, especially if they're established. This is an update on the front yard planters. They are doing really well. This is a blue spruce. I think it's blue globe spruce. It's leafing out with all this cute new growth. This was planted in fall and it's going into early spring, and I'm going to be really sad when I replace it with the summer annuals because I have a feeling it's still going to be beautiful. The snapdragons are all budded up. These are pansies from Cool Wave. They're just gorgeous and survived all of the winter and are still looking good now. These are dogwoods. They're very well established and they came with the house, so I can't tell you what variety they are, but they are absolutely beautiful. If you need a small-ish tree that's ornamental, I would definitely look at dogwoods. I would say if my house didn't already come with dogwoods, I would look at a Venus dogwood. The flowers are like the size of this mug. They're out of this world, so pretty. I've always wanted to add one, and I might still if I can find the perfect spot. This is the new shade garden. In the last video, I talked all about how I designed it and what I planted here. So if you're interested in shade gardens and need ideas, go check out my last video. This is my baby. This is my pride and joy. I bought this as a tiny sapling from MrMaple.com. If you've ever ordered from them, you know that you will pretty much get its twig that's about coffee cup height. But this is a pretty fast growing Japanese maple. I think this is about 5 years old now. This is Golden Falls Ryusin. This is a maple that has a weeping habit. It'll grow as tall as you stake it and then weep down from there. So this is a fun one that you can train into the serpentine. I'm really excited this year because we are making our way back here and soon to be hopefully making the next little loop in our snake-shaped Japanese maple experiment. This sad-looking thing is an evolution hydrangea. I bought it as a tiny plug from a wholesaler, and I thought this was going to be the year that it finally blooms because I've never seen them bloom. It's about 3 years old, but it looks like it pretty much died back and is restarting this year, so I'm going to hold out hope, but just know that not everything looks good in the garden everywhere, but there are definitely places that bring me joy. So I hope you enjoyed this garden tour, and I will see you in the next one.